Hi, everybody. Frasiacs, welcome in. And hold on to your reality TV seats. We have a ton of gossip to get to today, including two big breaking stories from Welcome to Plathville, the most epic reality show that is out right now. Lydia Plath has spoken out after last week's episode where her family labeled Zach as basically a lazy AF. A lazy, controlling AF. She is speaking out. She just posted, as I'm coming on the air a few hours ago, a statement in regards to her family. So I'm going to tell you what she has to say. Olivia Plath has felt compelled to come out, make a TikTok video if she is in fact friends with Veronica. She says no, and I'll tell you what tipped her over the edge. I'll tell you what, if you want to lose a friend, if you want to break up a marriage, you should see if you can get yourself on to Welcome to Plathville, because they can't keep a relationship with a dog. I mean, this show is crazy. All that gossip to get to, and then we got to talk Bravo T as well. Aaron Pfeiffer's, who is soon to be Denise Richards' ex-husband, just went on Inside Edition. You guys, this is probably the funniest video you are going to see all week long. He gives a tour of one of Denise Richards' abandoned mansions, he says, and first of all, there's like 20 dogs. He accuses her of being a hoarder of pets. He goes through the house. The house is like a hoarder. Do you remember how shocking it was years ago? Okay, this is a throwback for my millennials. Do you remember how shocking it was when pictures of Whitney Houston's like crack bathroom came out and she like lived in complete filth? There was like shit stained underwear, like everything. And we were just like, oh my God, how does a star live like this? Wait till you see Denise Richards' home. You will think this is a spoof. We have to talk about that. And then I have terrible news, but it looks like Real Housewives of New York is returning. I have nothing to say. Anyhow, welcome in. You guys know I'm Sarah. I do a daily pop culture podcast. I am so glad that you are here. We're going to get to all the tea, but I want to thank a sponsor first who I love. I don't want to jinx myself. I don't, but I'm going to. Beam Organics. Okay. Beam Organics has been keeping my kiddo KJ healthy so far all school year long. What is Beam Organics? Well, it's now available at shopbeam.com/TSFS, but it's why I found Beam Kids all-in-one super powders, okay? Because now instead of negotiating over broccoli, I just give KJ a scoop in their chocolate milk flavor. I mix it with milk. And voila, he's eating his essential vitamins. If you're new here, Beam Kids is one scoop a day of 40 essential ingredients, including greens, probiotics, prebiotics, fruits, and vitamins to fuel healthy growth, all in two amazing flavors kids love. Chocolate milk and chocolate chip cookie. Our kiddo KJ is obsessed with the chocolate milk. Making it this simple, you combine one scoop with 8 ounces of milk. You shake it, stir it, froth it. If your kid is, of course, dairy-free, you can do it with any product that you like. You're good to go. Breakfast, lunch, and snack time. Beam Kids fits in any routine. Go to Beam Kids right now. It's available online at shopbeam.com/TSFS. Because you're a listener to my show, you could take advantage of their limited time pricing of up to 35% off plus 2 free gifts when you use the code TSFS at checkout. This is a limited time discount, so you win and your order helps support No Kid Hungry's mission to ensure kids have healthy meals daily. That's shopbeam.com/TSFS. And remember, by supporting Beam Kids, you're helping support No Kid Hungry. Go to shopbeam.com today. Visit shopbeam.com/TSFS. Use code TSFS to get your exclusive discount of up to 35% off. Love you all. Thank you for supporting the show and frequenting my sponsors. So I know, some people like the commercials, some people don't, some people love the recommendations, but every time you purchase just once from my sponsors, you are helping keep this show free and available for you, because does anybody really need another Patreon in their life? Okay, let's start where we usually start, which is Welcome to Plathville, and we have Sister Wives Scoop. So first and foremost, this is very interesting to me. We can wildly speculate on this show because why not? Okay, these are reality shows where people sign up to do this. That's the craziest part. But I'm wondering if this is signaling that we may not be seeing a Lydia Plath and a Zach Weiss on next season, because this is a pretty strong statement. And I think with the two of them launching their own YouTube show, which is basically like following their marriage. She, by the way, is trying to become a full-blown influencer. If you follow Lydia Plath, which is Lydia Plath on Instagram, it's all now reviewing creams and makeups. And by the way, good for her. Obviously, I've just told you to buy Shop Beam Organics. I mean, do it. But is this, I mean, are they getting ready to depart? And this has been the rumor for a minute. Okay. It's been confirmed, not even a rumor, confirmed to me by someone very close to this show that this family wasn't even sure they would sign on for season 7 because things are so crazy and toxic in real life in that family. So could we be seeing these two depart? I don't know. But just a few hours ago, before I came on air, Lydia Plath is addressing last week's episode where Kim, Isaac, Micah have labeled Zach as controlling and lazy. This is what she writes. I feel the need to clear the air on something that was said this past episode. The hardest part about being on a TV show, is it breeds ground for people to talk to the camera and not each other. You could also just go to your relatives and ask, which is exactly what happened this past episode. My mom expressed her concerns that Zach was controlling and lazy. My desires around the wedding, that he was controlling it, and that is the farthest thing from the truth. I was not set on a specific color for the wedding, but forest green, blue, and rose were the colors I had thought would look nice. I'm not one of those brides who had everything planned, knew what dress, flowers, colors, themes, etc. None of that was my focus. So we discussed details. We decided blues could be our color, and I'm so happy with how it all came together. It really hurts to see my family saying things about Zach and I that if they would have just come to us and known us, it would have all been answered and clear that all Zach was doing in that month leading up to the wedding was caring for me and being there for me. Well, what about the fact he lived up in his room and the guy said that he would only come down when he smelled food like a dog and then he would lay on the sofa and scroll on his phone? Is that part not true? He's truly the most selfless man I've met, and he loves me in such a pure way. So let this be your reminder that gossip destroys and separates people. Don't talk about people before you talk to them. That seems like a direct shot fired at them. Yes, I talked to my mom before making this post because I have firsthand experienced the hurt from talking about people without talking to them. So I live by that rule. Quote, a perverse person stirs up conflict and a gossip separates close friends. Proverbs 16:28. Whew. All right. Well, I always try to understand where these individuals are coming from, which they're human. At the same time, it's hard for me to be empathetic anymore to reality show people because this is not a new game. Okay. This is not a formula that's never been done before. This isn't AI and Chat GPT where we're in uncharted categories or uncharted waters, and Chat GPT is like maybe going to have a personality. Okay. This is like almost, we're going on next year, 26 years, even more than that, because Real World started back in like 1995. We're on 30 years of reality TV. So the idea that these individuals are like clarifying things and saying like, my family should have come to me first. The whole job of these producers, they're 7 seasons in, is to get you to say things on camera you're not going to say to people, have conflict. And in the case of Welcome to Plathville, what I enjoy so much about the show is they never address anything on the show, ever. They never, while most reality shows, producers force conflict. The housewives, they're always at a restaurant fighting, flipping tables, throwing things at one another, throwing wine in each other's face. There's always conflict. These guys do everything possible in the episodes to have no conflict and no resolution with one another. They talk behind each other's back. The whole thing, right? Which is what she's saying in her statement. But also fascinating to me because you know what you're signing up for. You know. At the same time, this post leads me to believe, did she not even know that they had an issue? I don't think that's the case because Ethan came to her and supposedly in this upcoming episode we're going to see this week, they tried to confront her about Zach and not rushing in and marrying him so soon. We will see if that's the case, but very fascinating post. And you're probably going, okay, Sarah, how do you tie this to maybe these guys not coming back to the show? I stand by, for the most part, people never quit reality television. They don't, because fame is intoxicating and the platform is immense. Meaning, I guarantee you, she's starting to make thousands of dollars, and her full time job is being an influencer. Great, that's how I make my money. I'm not. I would stay if I were if I were cast on a reality show. I wouldn't leave either until they can me. Like, use it as they use you. But I have to wonder if she is laying the groundwork for, are these two trying to separate and really have a good life, and they are not going to be a part of this show? I'm just saying. I don't think so, because I think the intoxication of fame and the money that comes and the attention is too good. I see these guys traveling a lot. They're doing podcasts, all that. I think it's fantastic. But I don't think they're going to leave that voluntarily to get jobs. I mean, I don't. But this seems like they're drawing a line in the sand in some capacity. But perhaps thinking about leaving, or perhaps next season we see the continuation of their marriage and divide from the family, which we've seen with Ethan and Olivia, and then Ethan came back into the fold. We may see again, because there's rumors Ethan and Tegan have separated. Micah and Veronica are toast. Okay, moving on to, I'd said earlier, Olivia and Veronica. Major drama. Olivia Plath just did a video on her TikTok where she has clarified that she and Veronica are no longer friends. They were never friends. And she wants to clarify that. Okay. And this prompt is prompted from, and you can see it in the comments, apparently a post on Veronica's Instagram story that she did in support, I think, of Charlie Kirk's passing. Again, I didn't see it. I don't know the context, but when you read into the comments, and Olivia alludes to this, right after Charlie Kirk's passing, she does this video because she says, I want you guys to know I'm not friends with her, and I'm definitely not friends with somebody that supports this. This is what Olivia is saying, okay? So you can, if you have an issue with that, you can go to her TikTok and argue with her there. And she goes on to basically say she believes Veronica is a bully. She thinks Veronica's a bully. She's confronted Veronica in the past about being a bully, and she doesn't tolerate bully behavior ever. She is unified with Veronica that the family is toxic and agrees with a lot of the things that Veronica has called out. But she also says that she was, producers are the ones that introduced them, because Veronica, was having a hard time in Micah's relationship. And she also says, and I'd never heard this term, that she reached out to Veronica because Veronica online was being transvestigated. Have you ever heard that one? Transvestigated apparently is when people online investigate to see if you are trans. Never heard that one. So Olivia, in the encouragement of producers and in her own, I guess, concern and knowing that she too has been picked on being on TV. And when Veronica was being transvestigated, reached out, and they'd had a couple of conversations, but that's it. They're not friends. And she is not happy with how Veronica is acting in this season. So I've spoken to Veronica too. I know I've told you guys this 1,000 times. I've liked my conversations with Veronica. I'm not surprised to hear that, because Olivia, you know exactly where she stands politically. She's very political on her Instagram, and she says that. She openly admits that. And it doesn't seem like or Olivia's interested in hearing opposing sides or being friends with people that don't align with her values. That's just what I'm taking away. Okay. So it's interesting to me. I feel like a little bit, and again, it seems like it's warranted, but it almost feels like now it's a pile up on Veronica. And again, I've said on this podcast, like I hate the way she's behaved in these past couple of episodes. It's almost like she's a plant, and they'd broken up weeks ago, and they're playing this out because Veronica is this season, She's this season, she's a focal point. Without Veronica, what would we have? What would we have, sweeties? Tegan and Kaylin, who look like you can't tell one from the other. So the only part I don't like is like, I feel like Olivia doing that is like, are we kind of now piling on to somebody who, yeah, absolutely horrible behavior. But we also know, I think personally, and if Veronica had asked my opinion, I would have said, I can't remember. Did she ask my opinion actually? Before I get myself, did she ask me this? Um, I probably wouldn't have gone after producers before the show was released because we don't know if producers, like, she went all out. She filmed her conversations with producers and posted them online. She accused the producers of not doing anything to try to protect her when the Plath boys were apparently showing up at her house and harassing her. All that may be true. I'm just saying sometimes you gotta, like, you also have to manipulate the timing a bit. Would she have been getting, like, did they go back and edit to make her look even worse because they're like, well, fuck this bitch. She's giving away spoilers because she gave away all the spoilers. She's the one that told me first about Micah's broken nose. We broke that here. She's the one that talked about, she said things that she said about Barry. She said, she's given away storylines. All I'm saying is it a little bit, I'm like, oof, are we like piling on the wrong person here when really the focal point of this and the people that are most toxic are Barry, Kim, Barry, Ethan, clearly Isaac, who again, like I said on my TikTok, is like, this man is fresh out of the womb and like causing all kinds of drama. Are we losing the plot a bit? Or is it well-deserved for Veronica? I know a lot of you in my comments think it's well-deserved. You can't believe the way she acts. She acts entitled. She acts... And look, the therapy session, I can't even... as I consider her a friend, not that I know her well, but like I said, we've had conversations. The therapy session is so bad. It's bad. It's performative. It's giving like, I don't even want to try this. I just want revenge. It's so immature. It's like, okay, girl, you can't. Like you nobody forced you to say those things and you did. But I was a little surprised to see Olivia going after another woman. And she didn't really go after. She clarifies, we are not friends. I'm not going to be friends with someone that posts about Charlie Kirk, I think, in any sympathetic way. And, she goes in to talk about Veronica's behavior. And she says she and Veronica had a conversation and she's called Veronica out for being a bully. Again, maybe, look, maybe she's right. And maybe, and I gotta give Olivia a lot of credit. I mean, I liked the way Olivia handled her exit much better than what we're seeing from Veronica, 110%. Okay, let's move on to Meri Brown from Sister Wives. What's Meri up to? Meri up to doing podcasts as well. Okay, Christine might have this book out, and Christine might be doing the tours and on my podcast and on the New York Times podcast. But Meri Brown is giving some interviews, and she's letting us all know she still ain't changing her name, meaning her last name. She's keeping Brown. I like this. I don't know who's at these individuals to give up. Hello. Okay. These women are smart. They've left Cody. They're not dummies. Why would you give up your last Brown name, which, by the way, you've contributed to the enormous success of this show? We're launching season 20 in 2 weeks. And you want to become Meri Barber? That's her maiden name. You want to become Meri Barber? Ain't nobody know who Meri Barber is. Meri Brown, Sister Wives, that polygamy-ish, that cult crap. Yeah, we know you, girl. Who's giving up their last name? For some reason, people are in Meri's DMs and are in her comments all the time. Why are you still using Brown? Why are you still using Brown? She commented, she's like, I want to clarify for everybody, and this is like in Us Weekly, every post, every outlet. I ain't giving up my last name. I've talked to Jen, my girlfriend. I'm not going back to Barber. There's Meri Barber. There's just too many. Nobody knows it. I worked hard for this name. I was with Cody for this time. Yes. Okay, keep it. Keep it. Olivia Plath, to go back to her for a minute. I agree with her 1,000%. She goes on and does, I agree with those videos 1,000%. She goes on and does these videos and she's like, I'm not giving up the Plath name, okay? I married him. I lived through it. I helped make that show a success for 6 seasons. I'm keeping Plath. Maybe someday I'll change my mind, but this is how people know me. It's like, it's so funny because I never even thought, and neither did Schman. My last name is Fraser. It's not Schman's last name. And one family member, and I didn't even realize it until I think a couple years ago. I didn't even know he had a problem with it. One family member has had an issue with me not taking my husband's last name, thinks it's strange. But I'm like, I spent 15 years in media on Fox 5 DC, on Hot 99.5, on Sarah Ty and Mel in Washington, DC, on HBO's Crashing. I mean, like, I built my name. I'm not going to, okay, so people are going to know me as Raven, Sarah Raven. Ain't nobody know who that is. Sarah Fraser. Oh, I know that bitch. I mean, that's like, it's so weird, but people have a problem with that. I know. Traditional norms die hard. I get it. But in all my years, nobody, one person has had an issue. That's one family member has called me out on that. And they're like, seems weird that you're not really in it. You're not really taking your husband's name. Schman never cared. Schman's like, yeah, girl, get your coins. Whatever you got to do. Sarah Coochie Hoochie, whatever you think is going to get it. This is why I married you, Schmano. All right, can we talk about some other gossip? I mean, speaking of, and isn't that awful? Here is Lydia Plath preaching to us about gossip. And you've come to the right place. Look, I do a show about escapism where we speculate left and right about these people on reality TV. You gonna put your life on TV? We gonna talk about you, okay? That's like the fun of this show. Oh, please. Who doesn't gossip? If you don't gossip, you're lying. And how do you think people find out information about each other? Not all gossip is evil. Okay, you got me going now, you guys. It ain't no gossip. Like, it's not like gossip is always a bad thing. How do you think people know about a neighbor, a business that isn't good? Isn't that gossip when you're talking about letting people know something? Olivia Plath, I think, realizes like it ain't going well with her family. They don't like her. Okay, let's talk for a second because I always love to let you know TV stuff that I'm watching. I want to hit a documentary that I'm watching that I'm fascinated by. I want to hit what's going on with Justin Baldoni and this Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds lawsuit. I feel like Justin Baldoni is losing, and I don't know how to feel about this because maybe you all saw that Taylor Swift was going to be subpoenaed. Now the judge is like denying her subpoena to be deposed for Justin Baldoni's lawyer. It's not going to happen now. It doesn't look like. I'm shook it. Like, what is going on? All right, before we do that, Charlie Sheen. Who's watching the new Charlie Sheen documentary, AKA Charlie Sheen, on Netflix? You guys, I have a million questions. Now, y'all know I'm a millennial. I'm on the old end. Don't look too closely at this YouTube video for my wrinkles. But I am a millennial. I grew up watching TV and the movies in the late 90s, the early aughts. I mean, I was in DC when Charlie Sheen came to Washington, DC. He did his whole winning thing. I think he called into the radio station, not to the morning show. I think he was too high to get up at 6 a.m. and be on our show, but he did the afternoon show. Charlie Sheen was epic. Epic. Wall Street, the movie. Okay. So he's got this documentary out. Now, Charlie Sheen was closely a part of this, which I always have a big problem with, okay? He's not the producer on it, but essentially he provided all the footage, he provided the story, he booked all the guests. He worked very closely with the director, which to me is, I am sure Charlie Sheen, this was not okay, sure, I'm going to do a documentary and I'm not going to have any say. So take that with, I think, a grain of salt, because when these celebrities do their own, Elvis's family has done it. So many of them do it. You are not getting the full truth. Billy Joel just had an awesome one, but Billy Joel was that wasn't uncensored Billy Joel. He had a big hand in the ultimate saying that. It was fabulous. Made me love Billy Joel, but that's why they're doing documentaries, okay? Preserving their legacy in a positive light. And I feel like this was done for Charlie. It's 2 parts. It's epic. It's on Netflix. I mean, you must watch. But here are some of the big things that have come out of this. First of all, Sammy Sheen, who's on TikTok, posted a video in the past few days, basically calling the documentary a 10 out of 10, but also sort of teary-eyed saying, I didn't know I was the reason that my dad got sober. Now, Sammy Sheen is also in the book of Sheen, a memoir, which is also out recently. Charlie Sheen, by the way, is 60 years old. She is his eldest daughter. And in the book and documentary, he credits her for the reason that he stopped drugs and alcohol. He says it was December 10th, 2017. And by 9 a.m., I was my third McCullen spiked coffee in, the actor penned in the book that was published on Tuesday, this past Tuesday. My phone rang, and when I picked it up, it was my daughter, Sam, asking what time we were leaving. Shit. Her appointment that day had slipped my mind. I've never mixed the cups with the wheel. So I called Tony T, his friend, to come bail me out of the situation, and he was all too familiar with it. There's a reliable one. He's a good dude. Sheen, who shares daughters Sammy and Lola, of course, with Denise Richards, then explained how the car ride panned out. And he essentially says that Sammy was very quiet as they drove back home. I didn't need to be clairvoyant to know exactly what she was thinking, Sheen continued. Why is dad not driving again? Why isn't it just the two of us in the car like it used to be? Basically, Sheen goes on to say after that, he like stopped alcohol pretty quickly. He still was doing various drugs. Now, Sammy Sheen has let us know, of course, on Denise Richards' Wild Things documentary that she'd rather do anything than hang out with her father because the first 13 years of her life, him being an addict, and I'm sure any of you listening who have parents who are addicts, he was completely unreliable. So, birthday parties, soccer events, yes, he was going to come, and then he'd show up 10 hours later to the soccer field, or he wouldn't show up at all. They wouldn't see him for, and it was awful. So, but Sheen now says that he plans to make things right. There's some stuff going on with Sammy. He has admitted in recent interviews, including a recent interview with People magazine, but we'll fix it, he says. I've got more days behind me than in front of me, and that's fine. That's the deal we get when we show up on Earth, Sheen went on. But what I try to tell my kids is, dude, you're going to be here so long after I'm not. So try to hang on at least 10% of what I'm saying. I guarantee it will come in handy somewhere. I promise it. So Sheen has basically said he wants to make things right with Sammy, and he's going to try and work on their friendship. The documentary is everything. Very strange to me, his brother Emilio Estevez and Martin Sheen wouldn't appear. Now, they've come out like through a statement, and Martin Sheen is basically like, it's Charlie's story to tell. We've supported him all these years. I didn't want to taint anything. I wanted Charlie to tell it. Very diplomatic. Emilio, basically the same thing, right? Don't you want to know the real reason? Because you would know that ain't it. That ain't it. Like, to me, I'm like, are they just so burnt out with Charlie? They're like, mm-hmm. He says he's been sober 7 years, but then I'm always like, is he sober or is he not sober? So they don't want to come on the documentary and be like, oh yeah, Charlie's sober. It's going so well, when it ain't. I don't, again, you got to believe somebody. They say he's sober. Okay. But it's interesting to me. And maybe it's as simple as burnout. I just don't believe the whole, like it's Charlie's story to tell. We want Charlie to tell. It's like, Martin Sheen, you showed up for him for years. You don't want to like wrap it up in a bow now? Just saying. And of course the documentary reveals, he slept with men when he was doing crack. And I think Charlie's bisexual. He doesn't say that. He says that when he would come down from the high, he would be thinking about, what does this mean? It means you like all kinds of flavors, but he doesn't frame it that way. And he basically alludes to the fact that he had sex twice with men, and that's how he contracted HIV, which he's been living with for a while. And of course, he was blackmailed for years, paid out tons of money to keep everything quiet. And then finally, in his sobriety, just came out and said, I've got HIV, hasn't turned into full-blown AIDS. And here's the documentary book. And yeah, I did dudes. Oh, and he denies, what do we think? Because y'all remember, that Corey Haim rumor forever, the rumor was that he sexually assaulted, like he raped'd Corey Haim when they were on the set of, oh my God, what's the baseball film? Mr. Baseball? Ugh. Something like that. Anyhow, so he's been trolled, and he addresses it in this documentary, and he says it's absolute bullshit. It's completely not true. And then I read mixed things where Corey Haim's mother came out after he died, went on like Dr. Phil, said it wasn't true. It was completely false. And then, of course, Corey Feldman and Haim ended up naming a director in Hollywood that sexually abused them for years. And that's apparently who it was. A lot of people in the comments do not believe, they believe Charlie Sheen did it. And the problem is when you're a drug addict, do you remember everything? A lot of times you wouldn't do half the crap. I mean, and I'm not talking like this guy was doing insane cocaine, then freebasing coke, then injecting coke. Like it wasn't like this guy was smoking weed. You got to watch because you're going to have a lot of opinions. That's a good one. All right. Speaking of Denise Richards, you guys, how is Denise Richards' divorce going to end? How? Because it's insane. Aaron Pfeiffer's went on Inside Edition, gave a tour of a home that's abandoned from Denise Richards. He says she's just like walked away. And the tour is insane. I'm talking freaking insane. It's like he's showing that he says she hoards dogs. Okay, you're going to hear it. Hang on. Here we go. It's I mean, it is. I actually laughed out loud multiple times because I'm like, this cannot be real.
In an Inside Edition exclusive, her estranged husband says she left him living in what looks like a hoarder house.
Exclusive. Inside Denise Richards' house of squalor.
Oh, first up, this is how she left it.
Her estranged husband, Aaron Pfeiffer's, shows the shocking conditions at their $3.5 million rented home in Calabasas, California.
Oh my gosh. This is the master.
He showed Jim Murray the bedrooms, trashed, the carpets, stained, the closets in disarray.
There's hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of vintage clothing in here. It is riddled with moths. She buys makeup and keeps buying makeup and gets more makeup.
He says he's not at liberty to touch the mess upstairs because it all belongs to Denise Richards. Downstairs is where Aaron says he lives with his parents, brother, and 15 dogs.
Oh my God.
He says the dogs are all Denise's. At one time, he says Denise had 36 dogs living in the home.
How do you have so many dogs?
Because she has a thing with dogs.
Like a hoarding thing with dogs?
I don't know if it's hoarding. It's something.
Denise and Aaron married during an episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills 6 years ago, but they are now battling it out in an explosive divorce case. Denise claims she hasn't lived in the Calabasas home for 2 years and that Aaron and his family have severely damaged the property and left the house in a state of disarray. Okay. Aaron claims his family are the only ones caring for Denise's dogs and are now facing eviction. His mom is 80 years old.
I love Denise, and I treated her like a daughter, and I don't understand.
In the divorce papers, Denise is alleging Aaron physically abused her multiple times and claims he caused this black eye.
This is one of the photos that she had with a black eye. Do you even recognize her looking like that?
No, it looks like makeup.